Hey everybody, welcome to a new episode of Average Joe Sports, a sports lovers podcast. In today's episode, we're going over the NFL Week 6 matchups, and I'm going to give you my winners, my losers, whether or not they hit the over or the under, and if each team covers or not. Let's get started with the Thursday Night Football matchup, and it features the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are +7, and the over-under is 52.5. I have the Bucs taking this one by a final score of 31-23. Both teams combined to hit the over, and the Eagles do not cover. Next up, we have the Miami Dolphins versus the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this is another game in London, England, guys, so it's at 8:30 start time. The Jags are +3.5, and the over-under is set at 47. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking this one by a final score of 23-17. Both teams combined to hit the under, and the Jacksonville Jaguars cover the 3.5 points. Next up, we have the Chargers versus the Ravens. The Ravens are -3 favorites, and the over-under is set at 52. And I have the Chargers taking this one by a final score of 27-26. Both teams combined to hit the over, and the Ravens unfortunately do not cover the spread. Next up, we have the Panthers versus the Vikings. The Panthers are +1, and the over-under is set at 46 points. I have the Panthers winning this one by a final score of 24-20. Both teams combine for the under, and the Panthers cover the +1 spread. Next up, we have the Green Bay Packers versus the Chicago Bears. The Bears are 4.5 point underdogs in this one, and the over-under is set at 44 points. A little low, I feel, for this one. I have the Green Bay Packers taking it by a final score of 29-19. Both teams combined to hit the over, but the Bears don't cover the 4.5 point spread. Next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Detroit Lions. The Lions are 3.5 point underdogs, and the over-under is set at 47.5 points. I have the Lions over the Cincinnati Bengals this week by a final score of 23-21, and the Lions get a last-second field goal, a little bit of revenge for these past couple heartbreaking losses. Both teams combined to hit the under in points, but the Lions cover the spread. Next up, we have the Colts versus the Texans. The Colts are 9.5 point favorites, and the over-under is set at 43.5 points. I have the Colts taking this one by a final score of 27-17. Both teams combined to hit the over, and the Colts covered the 9.5 point spread. Next, we have the Rams versus the New York Football Giants. The Giants are 9.5 point underdogs, and the over-under is set at 48.5 points. I have the Los Angeles Rams taking this one by a final score of 38-14. Both teams combined to hit the over, and the Giants do not succeed in covering the point spread. Next up, we have the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Washington Football Team. Washington are a +7 underdog, and the over-under is set at 55 and a hook. I have the Kansas City Chiefs winning this one by a final score of 37-23. Both teams combined to hit the over, but the Washington Football Team failed to cover. Next up, we have the undefeated Arizona Cardinals taking on the Cleveland Browns. The Browns are 3 point favorites, and the over-under is set at 49.5 points. And I have the Cleveland Browns winning this one by a final score of 27-17. Both teams combined to hit the under, and the Browns cover the point spread. Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are 3.5 point favorites, and the over-under is set at 44 points. And I have the Denver Broncos taking this one by a final score of 19-16. Both teams combined to hit the under, and the Broncos failed to cover the 3.5 point spread. Next up, we have the Dallas Cowboys versus the New England Patriots. The Patriots are 3.5 point underdogs, and the over-under is set at 51.5 points. I have the Dallas Cowboys taking this one by a final score of 31-21. Both teams combined to hit the over, and the Patriots do not cover the point spread. Next up, we have the Seattle Seahawks versus the Pittsburgh Steelers on Sunday Night Football. The Steelers are 5 point favorites, and the over-under is set at 42.5 points. Another low one, but that's to be expected without Russell Wilson being on the team for the Seattle Seahawks. I have the Pittsburgh Steelers winning this one by a final score of 26-20. Both teams combined to hit the over, and the Pittsburgh Steelers do cover this point spread. And finally, on Monday Night Football, we have the Buffalo Bills versus the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are 5.5 point underdogs, and the over-under is set at 54 points. And in my upset of the week, I have the Tennessee Titans defeating the Buffalo Bills by a final score of 35-29. Book it right now. Both teams combined to hit the over in points, and the Tennessee Titans cover the 5.5 point spread. Alright everybody, those were my NFL Week 6 picks This was Average Joe Sports, a sports lovers podcast, and I'll see you guys for another episode soon.